The fires of Isengard have spread for far too long. Hey, how's it going? My name is jackiefishhh and welcome back to some more Rise of Mordor Total War. Today we are taking another look at this awesome Trollshore custom map with a epic 2 vs 2 with large armies. And talking about large armies, I love the way that you can actually go ahead and just see the end of the enemy battle line stretching that entire way going off into the fog. It's really cool. So in today's battle, the scenario is kind of like the forces of Isengard have been pushing closer and closer to the elven borders, and the elves have had to make an alliance with the dwarfs. I know, pretty goddamn crazy, but the dwarfs have had to be kind of enlisted almost as mercenaries to help them defeat the forces of Isengard and Dunland. So let's quickly take a look at a few of the interesting units being brought, and then we'll jump straight into the battle. Whilst that's going on, we'll let the battle play on slow-mo just so we can go immediately into the action. So on the front line for the High Elves, we do have the warriors, spear warriors. We also have some of the archers back here. I love the detail that has been put into the High Elf bows as well. Really cool. And I should mention as well, just in case anyone is new to this mod, all these elven units you're looking at and quite a few of the other units that you'll be seeing in this battle are part of the Rise of Mordor sub mod. So these aren't official units from Rise of Mordor themselves. It's just kind of nice to use it so we can flesh out a lot of the rosters whilst Rise of Mordor are working on their official units. So that was the forces of the elves. They only have about 4 or 5 different units, but they're all very nice and the textures are so high quality. Then for the dwarves, we do have some of these hearth watchers, some lightly armored dwarven warriors, but I mean even a lightly armored dwarf is very scary. We then have some of their spearmen. As we go further back, we do have a lot more of the Iron Hill kind of elite warriors. We have the Vault Wardens, the Pike Infantry. Then we have the Grimhammers. These guys are just brutal, heavy armor piercing damage and can just go toe to toe with most other infantry. And even with this, heavy armor, with this heavy armor, they're even pretty vulnerable, not vulnerable to archer fire, which is very good. We then have some of these Erebor engineers with their huge crossbows, and then finally we do have some Axe Guard of Erebor as well, so some really strong infantry from the dwarfs. Then taking a look on the defending side, we have Dunland over on this left hand side, which I believe is a complete faction which within the Rise of Mordor sub mod. So you're going to see some assets from Rise of Mordor, some assets from the normal base game Attila, and just some other stuff. So as you can see on the front line for Dunland, they have the Dunland champions right here, some of the Isengard kind of shields, and they've got chainmail, which is pretty standard. I also really love the way that their swords are as well, kind of with that hook blade. It's pretty cool and unique. So it's going to make up the majority, if not the entire front line. Wow, that is going to make up the entire front line for them. That's pretty crazy. Then as we go back, we have some of the Hillmen, Bloodsworn. These guys don't look like they're heavily armored, but they're probably pretty ferocious berserker warriors who will get stuck in nonetheless. As we continue to go back, we do have some Hillman headhunters and also some Dunherd beast slayers. So again, some pretty nice mix of like trash units and then good units. Then finally, if we go over to the final one, which is going to be Isengard, on their front line, they do have some Uruk-hai infantry. These guys, I believe, are more of the lightly armored variant, but they do look very cool. Then as we continue to go back, we have some of the Uruk-hai pikemen. I love the way that there's blood splattered already on their shoulder blades, like these guys have been in many battles. I mean, just look at that dude's face. He looks pretty fucked up and ready for battle. Then we also have some more Uruk-hai crossbowmen, the berserkers. These guys are just insane. If they can get into melee combat, they'll do so much damage. But again, because we're fighting against the elves are going to be focusing down this unit with a lot of their archer fire. Then finally, we have the heavy White Hand Stormers back here. These guys can pack a punch and they're extremely tanky, and I absolutely just love the huge shields on them. I mean, even look at this detail on the glove under the armor right there. It's just insane. The amount of detail that goes into all these assets is so good. It's one of the reasons the mod is taken as long as it is. But if every unit is of this quality, then I'm sure most people would be more than okay with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the battle kind of get closer and closer, ready to erupting, and then I will jump straight back in for you guys so we don't miss any of the action. I also want to say a massive thank you for the person who sent in this replay. I really appreciate it. He has sent in quite a few really good replays recently, and if you guys want to be a part of these battles, make sure to join my Discord. The link will be down below in the description. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump straight into the battle. Okay, so here we go. Looks like the battle has started to kick off as Isengard are pushing forward some of their Uruk-hai infantry. The elves are also pushing their way into position, and really what the elves need to do is they need to set down their battle line pretty quickly so that they can form up their archers and just start hitting away at the Isengard forces. You can actually see Isengard are moving up their entire army right now. It looks pretty goddamn ferocious. Heavily armored Uruks. These guys are well-trained ones, unlike the ones at Helm's Deep, so they're going to be stronger warriors. And there we go. The Elven archer line has now unloaded their first volley, and these guys will be shooting very, very quickly to put, just so much suppression down on the Uruk-hai army as it does try to advance further and further. I'm not sure how much damage the first volley did, but we can see a few of the Uruk-hai have already dropped down from their numbers. As well as that, it does look like the dwarfs are trying to engage against Dunland, but they're going to have a hard time as the dwarven cavalry is this caravan guard, so it's going to be, fast cavalry, but they're not going to be very strong in melee combat. You can see they've got some dwarven equipment and then obviously the Dale equipment right there. Whereas the Dunland cavalry is the skirmisher cavalry, so they're going to be able to throw these javelins, get in, get out, get in and get out, and just kind of rinse and repeat. And basically just try and skirmish a large portion of this dwarven force to death, especially as the Dunland battle line stretches so far left. They're going to be able to use this to their advantage and kind of segregate the dwarven forces which are all the way over here. They need to be very, very careful. The elves, on the other hand, just need to try and skirmish the enemy forces as much as they can. We can see them formed up right here. Another volley going out, trying to whittle down the crossbows for away. I mean, that's a smart idea. Try and take complete missile superiority. One of the things that tends to happen as well in these games, I guess artillery in general, is that they have like a hit point system. So the first couple volleys tend not to do much damage. However, as you continue to do more and more shooting towards one side, the numbers will start to drop a lot more dramatically. The Elven battle line looks so nice, and it does look like we're actually going to get some of the frontal charges from the Elven spears, which is pretty crazy. If we take a look at how lopsided their formation is, the Uruk-hai are going to be forming up into a shield wall. It does leave, gaps in their battle line, but the entire Elven force is just pushing forward. I'm surprised they're not wanting to skirmish more, but I guess now that the crossbows are engaged, it's only a matter of time until, they just get slaughtered by the crossbows. Oh my god, these elves are not using their range to their advantage, and that's hurting out. The dwarfs needed maybe try and come in and support. If I was a dwarven player right now, I'd move directly in here, ignore this part of the Dunland army, and just try and, segregate the forces of Isengard whilst I can. As well as that, and I think they need to start pushing some cavalry around this left-hand side because these crossbows are insane. The amount of damage they're outputting on the battlefield is just crazy. I mean, on the front line, it's going to look good for the elves being very skilled warriors. But a lot of this is spearmen versus swordsmen, so it kind of does take away a lot of the edge of the elven advantage right there. Because, swordsmen tend to beat spears, even if they are elves after all. And the berserkers, you can just see them in the distance moving around that right-hand side. These guys are going to be so impactful if they can just get a good charge off into the flanks. I mean, as well as that, the Isengard player has done a great job at nullifying the archers on this right-hand side, which I'm not sure if he meant to do, but this is allowing the berserkers to now have a free reign. God damn, that is insane. The dwarfs of the Iron Hills need to be thrown in. I mean, they're sending up a few units to advance, but it's a little bit deadly. A lot of axe throws being pushed off here as they do come flying in, and this is going to be the first dwarven charge. Oh, it's actually a really good charge into the Dunland archers. Oh, brutal. So these dwarves are actually doing some nice damage and actually routing the Dunland warriors as they try and retreat back. As well as that, I imagine the crossbows need to be pushed in as well. I mean, these dwarves have just got absolutely ham. And they're actually holding back a large portion of the Dunland force as well with such a small contingent. The main fight is right over here though, between Isengard and the elves. And I think the dwarves could just be so impactful if they just came flying into this combat. By the time Dunland turned up here, they could really just turn the battle on its head. and we have to stick around here for a little bit, you know, at least 30 seconds, and just watch these elves go ham. The two-handed elven swords are just so awesome. And they're going to be one of probably one of the strongest units in the overhaul mod for sure. There's going to be a rear charge, but it does look like Dundon have managed to make their way round and actually charge into the back of the elves, which is pretty scary. I mean, this is what the dwarves should really be dealing with. Over on the right-hand side as well, we can see the dwarves still just trying to harass as much as they can. And there's just so much of a Dundon force over there, which now the dwarves are committing more soldiers to. Isengard do look like they are starting to break on a few of their extra units. I mean, the heavy elven cavalry being pushed into this is very, very nice. But these crossbows are just relentless. This cavalry literally covered from head to toe in blood, the arrow fire coming in. And the center is completely broken for the elves right now. They only have a couple units left remaining on this right-hand side. The berserkers themselves, I imagine, are doing a great job. But they are fighting up against them two-handed heavy elven swords. And the elven swords look like they're kind of coming out on top after taking a few casualties. Really, I guess these crossbows are going to be the pure beasts. Oh my god, I didn't even see that they had this unit. These are the White Hand Sappers. So this is basically the unit that blew up the walls at Helm's Deep. And you guys will see, this unit is insane. I hope it's like the one in the normal mod, because I know they did change it, but I'm not sure if it's still going to be the same. In the normal mod, they just blow up and kill everything in a radius, which is just crazy. Whereas they're kind of like Nafatoons in the old version of this mod. I hope that they've changed it to just being a massive explosion, because it's so cool. But, you know, only time will tell. The crossbow's having a pretty nice kind of open shot right here on the side. How are the dwarves doing? We haven't really seen too much of the dwarves, and it does look like the entire dwarven battle line has now clashed, as we do have the axemen fighting off. And these aren't the strongest axemen from the dwarves. I mean, you know, any dwarf is going to be good, but these aren't going to be the heavily Iron Hill armored dwarfs, which, you know, will just survive and just live for so long. Granted, they are only fighting Dunland, so what do you even expect Dunland to be able to really put up a great fight? I guess they really kind of thrive on their numbers. They do have a pretty nice position right here, though, which is overlooking a large portion of the battlefield. But I imagine the dwarfs are going to be making quick work of the warriors from Dunland, especially the hillmen. Over on this other side, I think they've got some more of the elite soldiers, but again, the dwarfs have some really, really good soldiers here, especially now that the Vault Wardens are being pushed up. They're going to slit the pikes through the gaps in their battle line, kind of Battle of the Bastard style, and take out, at least support that fight. They also have their crossbows as well, their engineers, which are going to be getting a perfect shot off here onto the shield wall formation. So I think it's going to come down to kind of what happens in this engagement. If Isengard can push back and kill the elves, which it looks like they've kind of achieved, as we have some elves charging in against the crossbows point blank. They are going to engage that actually, which is good. But there's just so many Isengard forces here, and I think Isengard are using their crossbows really nicely, trying just to avoid as much of the combat as possible, as we do have more of the elven archers here fighting the storm as well. This is not a good battle. This is not a good matchup for the elves whatsoever. The stormers are just such a well-trained unit. And guys, if you've been enjoying these Rise of Mordor battles, I implore you to make sure to keep an eye on the channel over the next couple weeks, because they're getting very close to releasing the Gondor architecture for Rise of Mordor. Oh, that volley, man, is brutal. So you could start seeing some actual Gondor-themed maps with Gondor buildings and Gondor walls and trebuchets very, very soon on the channel. So if that sounds like a pretty awesome thing, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more, because yeah, you guys will be getting a lot more when that comes out. I can't wait for all the custom maps, and it's just going to be amazing. Even just playing normal maps should be pretty awesome as well.
Our men return to the fight.
So balance of power is shifting in favor of Isengard, which is very surprising because the elves are just such a strong force. But I feel like because the dwarves didn't send enough soldiers to support the elves, that, you know, Isengard just really took them out, and them crossbows demolished the elven archers. They just didn't use their range to their advantage. They should have kind of just kited back and tried to pick them away as much as they can. Dunland are having a hard job though, defeating the dwarves, especially these heavily armored ones. They're just so hard to beat. They need to, if they can, get some cavalry round the back or something as the champions come in, trying to fight the Grimhammers. These are warrior dwarfs though, head to toe in heavy armor. No matter what comes their way, they'll do good. I mean, look how small they look as well compared to the men on them horses. Cavalry fight is brutal. How has the engagement over here been? Yeah, pretty decent. Yeah, Isengard have completely smashed the elven forces, and now it is only the dwarfs that still left remain. The Merchant Guard trying to kind of slot this Isengard force. Maybe they still stand a chance, but it's not looking good. The balance of power is heavily in favor of Dunland. I mean, the dwarves and the elves are always outnumbered, but that's crazy. Over, what, almost 3,000 soldiers they were outnumbered by at the beginning of the battle. Just under 3,000 soldiers. And I guess that kind of speaks to the power of Dunland, right? That is what Dunland is all about, as they get another light cavalry charge into the back of the Merchant Guard as they try and get the hell out of there. The remnants of the Dwarven forces, you know, these engineers have had to put down their crossbow and pulled out an axe just for any chance of survival. And yeah, there's still a few spears who have managed to make their way onto the back lines. You know, getting some extra kills, trying to take down as many of these Dunland warriors as possible. But it's not looking good, especially now that we have some cavalry pushing its way into the back. More and more dwarves are fleeing this battle. They were not paid a high enough price. And it does also look like the Dwarven General is starting to get surrounded. He is kind of one of the last remnants of it. There's a few more Axe Guard and stuff over here, but nothing really left remaining. And it's just this heavily armoured Axe unit, which we'll spend the last minute and 20 with. It does look like the fires of Isengard have spread. So we will just spend the last part of this battle watching this fabled last stand from the Dwarven Generals. We'll even get on board with them as well. Watch it from their point of view. I mean, that's not looking too good right there. These look how cool that is. The champions covered in blood, just making their way closer and closer. We've got some Isengard of the entire Isengard army. This Dwarven General unit is going to be surrounded. Even javelins coming in as well, picking away. They don't even care if there's any friendly fire. And the dwarfs are going to rout. And that must be all she wrote for the forces of good. They look like they have been completely smashed here. They have a few kind of segregated units over here. One last cavalry charge making its way in. But the fires of Isen have spread and they have taken a Pyrrhic victory for Dunland. What a battle that was. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. I always love doing these Rise of Mordor battles, and you guys seem to really enjoy them. They definitely end up being one of the more popular series on the channel. So, you know, if you guys have any replays, send them in. I'd be happy to cast them. As long as they're a good battle. Don't just do, you know, send me in a crappy 1v1 with 20 units. You know, I want it to be epic. I want it to be big. But if you do have any replays, send them my way and I'll be happy to cast them. And obviously join my own Discord. Link will be in the description for a part to be in these battles and be in these custom scenarios. So if we take a look at the kills, if we take a look at Dunland, their Eisenmarch Wardens, 94 kills. Their champions holding up really well against the Dwarven forces. It's probably because I didn't bring enough of the Axe Guard of Erebor, you know, the Iron Guard and stuff like that, which just do so much damage. The other units as well, this unit of Beast Slayers doing pretty nice. Taking a look at Isengard as well. We can see that they've racked up 160 kills on the Stormers, and the Berserkers not doing amazing, but doing okay, considering they have a lot less men in their unit to begin with. That's not too bad. And the crossbows, man, them crossbows were just so deadly. It was insane. Taking a look at the Dwarven force, we can see a lot of their soldiers, 117 on the Watchers, 104 on the Shield Breakers, very deadly, and then finally 128 on the Caravan Guard, not too bad. And the Elven forces, all of them doing good. It was just they didn't do enough damage, and their archers really let them down, I think, in the end, which was just such a shame. Some of their units getting decimated really early on. But I mean, this one getting 218 kills. But the thing is, like, Isengard and Dunland have so many units in their, so many soldiers in their units that, these 250 kills are good. But, that's only like killing one other unit, whereas these guys don't have a lot of people, so, these kills are kind of more impressive. But overall, that was just an epic battle, a good little matchup between the Dwarfs and the Elves coming together to try and stop the fires of Isengard. So if you enjoyed this, be sure to drop a like and a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next one.